Welcome everyone to Authentic as Fuck podcast. Welcome, Jelena.
Hello, nice to see you again.
So let's start with let's do like a recap of what everything that you were just telling me.
Yeah, we've been talking about actually how we put words in front of people.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm not talking to Sunny. I'm talking to a graphic designer, a person in their 30s, in their 40s, American. So we put other people in boxes. So in certain amount, we are slowly objectifying person. So you are a driver, a doctor, psychologist, mechanic. So I guess, I mean, of course, we use this for some purpose because I'm not going to know like name of um, every doctor that I come to, or when I talk in general. Of course, I will say, I don't know, doctor, not like this and this and this and this. Not, would not name them, but I guess, and I also thought about likes and how we actually objectify. I mean, everything turns to, this is another topic, but everything turns to numbers, which is also another way of objectifying people, like how many likes you get. You don't think about like one person literally was reading something you wrote and maybe connected to your text and then wanted to like say, hey,
Yeah.
this is good.
You
I
just
wrote
become
it.
like a data point,
I
right?
liked it. Yeah. So you are, then you have like gurus that say, this is how you will scale your business and get your likes and your views to, I don't know, some crazy number. So again, there is something between two people connecting,
Mhm.
like you and me talking. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to guru to.
But are you saying that we do that naturally already in our brain?
You mean like do we naturally put people in
Do
a
you
box?
think do you think we did that because like the way the world is, or do you think we just naturally do that? Because as you're saying that, right? That's the reason why like the categories and why everything turns into data point, because it literally does. If you look at, so if I'm quoting, if I'm building a social media website, right,
Mm-hmm.
where I have a database of all the all the data that's in this website,
Mm-hmm.
then like think of the database like in a simple way, like a bunch of Excel spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
So you have an Excel spreadsheet called users, and in that Excel spreadsheet, there's multiple columns, right? There's first name, last name, gender,
Mm-hmm.
location, age, you know. So everything about like occupation, what you are, like how many, if you're a college grad or a high school grad or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say every possible information about you is in this Excel spreadsheet across, and then each
Okay.
row is a person, right?
Okay.
And then one of the column is called how many likes you have. Okay, or
Yeah.
it's connected to another table that has like all your posts and how many
Mm-hmm.
likes each one has, or how many followers you have would be one
Mm-hmm.
column under you. So what? So and that number will go up, right? Every time you get a new follow, that number will keep going up in the cell, right? So you're the entire world is in somewhat in some sense is just a piece of data already,
Yeah.
because that's how these systems are built. You know what I mean?
Well, this
But
is
do you
what
think?
you said really well.
Yeah.
This is how systems are built because if you imagine, I mean, the whole thing of this whole system is not natural and normal because if you think about average village
Hmm.
like 200 years ago, you knew like this person you had some categories, like you knew, okay, this person is from that family, like I don't know, Yi family.
Hmm.
Okay. And you know, you, but you have a personal contact with most of people around you, you know them by name. And I guess you know them
So
better
even
because,
before there was already categories.
of course, I mean, you need to put people in categories, but I guess it's like when the number of these categories, or maybe quality of like how much we put into categories,
Yeah,
scale,
it's like
like
too
how much
structured.
that go before a person. um so the whole thing of like being engaged with 1,000, 2,000 people is not normal, and our brain needs to function somehow to put something in category, because you cannot know by name and like indirect contact with each of them. um but the whole concept then is more and more objectifying people, because person is instrument of your goal for someone to press like, or for someone to give you a
Yeah, it's
drive.
becoming like when you're online. That's why I think people when they're online, they're tweeting or they're
Mm-hmm.
posting something. Like a lot of the like like Jordan Peterson says, like when you look online, you would think that like he would be harassed every single day because of all
Mm-hmm.
the harassment he gets online. But he said that in real life that never happens. And I think it's because the way we talk to people in real life versus the way we talk to people online is different. Because online, it feels like I'm just talking to a data point. It doesn't, you don't get the same feel like I wouldn't call you names and say nasty things to you like in front of your face.
Mm-hmm.
But on Twitter, they might.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
understand what I mean?
that's the difference.
Because
Because,
you're just thinking of it as like another data point, not like a human
yeah,
being in front of
as
you.
an object, not as a
Mhm.
person, and you are not personally engaged with that person.
So yeah, maybe it's part of it
And
is that
also
these
i'm
tools made us like that.
I'm thinking about when a person is in live.
Hmm.
So you have like one person that is there, like with their face, like, hey, I'm here. And then you have other people that are protected. I guess
Like
they're
the audience, you
harassing
mean?
less. Like, yeah, the audience. So I guess, I'm not sure if this is true, but I would assume that is, that you would get less hate comments and harassing comments because you really see the person, than if you're just tweeting about that person.
Say that again.
So imagine Jordan
Like you,
Peterson.
the audience will get less hate than the
Uh,
creator.
Imagine Jordan Peterson is on IG Live,
Hmm.
something like that, or on Twitter. Let's say that there's live
Oh, okay.
on
When they're
Twitter.
on live,
Yeah, and
you mean there's
the,
less hate comments in the live?
yes, because you
Probably,
kind
yeah.
of you kind of see this person like really being there and really reading this, so it's more
Yeah,
intimate, more connected, and you
yeah,
kind of feel like, well, I'll not post it, or
yeah.
you kind of maybe smooth message a little bit.
Wait, so why do we bring up this topic? Because like that's kind of like I think I do understand the idea of like us categorizing everyone and turning it
Hmm.
into like a data point. All of that. I thought we were talking about like identities in terms of like when you're at home, your mom, then you're in the mom category. Now you act like a mom. And then when you're at work, you're a manager, and now you put on your manager mask, and now you're playing the manager part. When you're in school, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like, do you understand
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah, like
Like,
different.
there's like you're a psychotherapist. That's one of your categories. Jelena is a psychotherapist, so now you must act like a psychotherapist, and you
Yeah.
must put on a psychotherapist thing, and then
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about, right?
So, okay. So,
Like, we
what if,
categorize ourselves like that. When you're in school, or like when you're in high school, you're a student.
yeah, I think, well, my um opinion on that was that, when we are children, our categories are more loose, more fluent. So we can smoothly go from, I don't know, training football, so being kind of a like small football player, to being a ballerine, because
Hmm.
it is what it is. So it's more fluent. But as we age, I guess these boxes are getting more rigid. So I don't know, it's awkward to see, I don't know, a doctor being also, I don't know how do you call it, like sumo player. I mean, you cannot be sumo, but you know what I mean, like,
It's no, but it's even more easier than that. It's weird when you see your doctor at the
yeah,
grocery store.
yeah.
It's because, like, see, you've already categorized them as like, or it's kind of
Hmm.
like when you see your teacher at the mall, right? You're like, oh shit, you're like a human being.
Yeah,
It's, you know what I mean? Like, because once we see a teacher, we see it as a teacher, right? So imagine you went to the club and you saw your teacher there. Like,
yeah,
how
it
weird would
it
that
would
be,
be, it could be weird.
right? Because we've categorized them. That's why. Here are the people that we see in the club. Here are the people we see in school.
Yeah,
Or here's
I
the
think
people that, yeah.
it 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 has some benefits, because you you have some you have some feeling of something is like predictable. I remember one, uh I think, kindergarten, like, teacher, how you call them.
A
uh,
kindergarten teacher.
yeah. So a person, a kid, um saw his kindergarten teacher in, I think, in grocery store or somewhere
Mhm.
outside, and he was like, the kid was so shocked, like, I thought the kid thought that he's actually sleeping in, there he's living
Oh, the
in the
teacher.
kindergarten. Yeah. So he was so like, how is this possible? How are you here? I'm imagining that kid like totally
How did you
smashed
escape?
this this kid world. I mean, everything
How'd
is
you
so
escape
upside
school?
down, too much to handle.
Oh.
So I guess, you know we need some rituals, some repetition, to feel that we can predict things, because it definitely calms our nervous system. If everything is so loose, then nothing is certain, then you will freak out. So,
Mhm.
I guess this is one benefit of that, because
Yeah, no,
if,
I think we naturally do that anyway. I think we naturally, in our brain, we
yeah,
categorize things anyway. So because we do that, that's probably why we build systems like that, like social media and stuff like that. But now I guess it's gotten to a point where kind of the technology is actually hurting us, because we went I feel like in everything, if you go too far,
Mm,
it ends up becoming like it always like ends up becoming negative.
yeah.
Like when something becomes too productive, it can become counterproductive. You know.
And imagine also, I mean, if you think about, I lost my train of thought. If you think about, I had something to say. I forgot. I think it was interesting, so I hope it will come back.
Is it like about identities, like what mask we wear, depending on the situation?
I don't know. I don't know. What
Like
was
um,
what you said last?
like if I feel like the teacher probably act one way when he's in front of class, right?
Yeah.
And then probably acts differently when he's at home with his mom
Yeah.
versus he's out with his friends.
Yeah, I also I know what I my thought came back. Um
Yes.
so one thing, imagine how weird it would be if you call your doctor and say, "Hey, can I have you an appointment?" And he would say, "Hey, I'm not a doctor now. I'm a mechanic. So if you have a problem with your car, I'm here." So we need some structure. So we can change professions, but not too much. On or not too frequent, or we would be taken like unreliable, I guess. Um, so, but the other thing that I wanted to say was, when technology goes too far. I mean, imagine a world of kids that every move they make is online, because they would film themselves or somebody else would film them, and post that. So I don't, if I think like, when I was teenager, and when I was drunk, so I couldn't like control how much drink would make me go crazy, or if I would vomit in front of the bar and someone would film that, like I wouldn't want that to be filmed, because that would like torture me like my whole life. So right now, when everything is filmed, it looks like you already have some categories that are you cannot change so easy. If you had in high school, girl that is, I don't know, dressing like too little things on her body to cover everything.
Mhm.
So, and then later maybe she's religious, or she wants some guy who is decent, and like she's in her spirit or whatever it is, and this would follow her, even though she doesn't want that, even though that's not something that she is. But this is your, like, this is
Yeah,
your
there's
life
no
now.
privacy. Yeah.
So I guess this, even to some next level, puts like these boxes for us to be more rigid or to feel pressure because of having them. Later, I mean, before in life, you could make a mess or something to, I don't know, go to prison and then like really feel, get redemption, or be there for some time, whatever the story is, and then go on with your life because you
Yeah,
made a
maybe eventually,
big
like,
mistake.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Because right now, it doesn't even have to be like your past. Because, some people act differently in different situations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can be a politician who seems all nice, but then it turns out like, you know, you're like a really mean behind closed doors or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But that's because you're wearing two different masks, right? But with technology, it's gonna expose those more also.
Yeah, I guess some I mean, we put on masks. So some masks are complementing each other, and some are like the opposite. If you have, I don't know, a politician that is um putting a lot of effort for helping some orphanage kids, something like that. And on the other hand, his wife is blaming him for domestic violence.
Hmm.
So he has some problems with with aggression. So these
Hmm.
things are conflicting each other. But if you have, I don't know, um, a politician that is doing like the same thing, but also
Hmm.
he likes to play golf and he's golfer in his free time,
Hmm.
whatever. So this is like, he's for sports, he's for healthy life. This is
Hmm.
even going like to his um, reputation. Um, he's getting bonus points. So some masks are complementing each other. And my question right now is, and I think that um, many times we put pressure right now when I think about myself as a therapist. And can I be a therapist and can I be goofy and go to the party and I don't know, have a few drinks and maybe uh, I don't know, jump on a table and dance on a table?
Like how clearly should you draw the line? I guess is
Yeah.
because I think there you are gonna wear different masks in different situations, right? Like you said, when you're in front of a client, you're not gonna be the same person as you are if you're like out in a, you know,
Yeah.
in a bar
Yeah.
or club or something like that, right? So, but then like, at which point are you being two different person versus you're still you? I guess do you understand? Because I think there are these identities that we wear, right? Like you, let's say you're a parent and you go to talk to your kid's teacher or something like that. You're gonna wear a certain mask, and
Mm-hmm.
versus when you're actually talking to your kid, versus when you're talking to your husband, versus when you're talking to your boss or your
Yeah.
employees. Like in all those cases, like there's
Yeah.
an identity that.
I think now that there is some kind of pressure when I think about like female therapists for a second, because this
Mhm.
is something that I can connect to much easier than to something else. So if you're a female therapist, you also have what is complementing like these masks when they're posting online. Many times when they post something from their private life, I would see pictures like in the nature and enjoying. So I'm enjoying nature. And then you have music that is like calm, like
Mhm.
they're also doing something that is like calming their nervous system. If there is something about feminism, you always need to be like, I'm supporting women, always, everything. Yes, women power. This is what is accepted. If you think about, I don't know, like guys, you also need to be like, if he's not showing you, I don't know, if he doesn't praise you for little things, if he doesn't show you affection, he doesn't deserve you. So some narrative like that. So it's kind of a vibe
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
So imagine a woman that is that just say, I'm a therapist, I'm a woman, and I don't care about any of these. So
Mhm,
I drink, I smoke, and I
mhm,
have parties. I do this because of money and because I think this is a good thing to do. I enjoy it. It's cool
mhm,
job, and I don't care for female rights.
mhm.
Imagine how, I mean, this is just opinion of this person. Can this person live? So is it possible to live in this world without being judged or like canceled? Like this cancel culture, like no, you are against us. And so my question is, it looks like we can be fluent in these categories, but to when we look a little bit deeper, no, we cannot. I mean, I guess if somebody shows up like this, it will backfire a lot.
I don't think so though. Like I think what you're the case scenario that you came up with is a good example, but there's some there's like for example, like here's the thing.
Mm.
I think it'll work.
Can I just give you one more example that I just remembered? There was one writer. I mean,
Mhm,
she's nutrition or something like that. Maybe you've heard for a type of like eating low carb, high fat. Okay, so this woman was sharing content about like how good fats are, blah blah blah. She wrote a book about that, and she was very like supported by so many women because women usually follow these accounts. And one time, it happened. She's from Croatia. That I met her for her to give me
mhm,
her book. So we went for a coffee. And at some point, I asked her, she's also a smoker. So she would be like sitting there and she was smoking her
mhm,
cigarette. And I said, let's have a picture together. She said, yeah, fine. And as one guy was taking picture of us, she moved a little bit her cigarette and she said, they will like women will strangle me if they see this on a picture because if I post that on my Facebook.
mhm.
So she would just move cigarettes a little bit because she knows that it would backfire. And I guess it would. You cannot be like nutritionist and also to be a smoker if you are for healthy life and then you're showing uh, with your example that you are not doing the right thing.
What if you were a you went to a doctor and the doctor was a smoker? You wouldn't go to that doctor.
I mean, I guess I would if I find a person by referral, then
Let's say this guy is the, you know, best surgeon in the world, but he's a smoker.
I would
And
go to that surgeon. I would.
I actually, because what I'm trying to say is, I think those are boundaries that she set up on herself. Because I think if
Really?
this is what I was gonna say. If I'm a
Well,
yoga
that's
teacher,
good.
or
If that's the case, that's good, isn't it?
yeah, if I'm a nutritionist and I smoke and I don't take
Hmm.
care of my body, but I'm telling other people to take care of their body, right?
Hmm.
I think the way that they have to do it is they have to be honest about it, right? Like I if I'm not disciplined, but I'm telling you to be disciplined, then I have to be like, hey, by the way, I do all this unhealthy shit too. So, but you shouldn't do it,
Yeah.
right? And then you can have two effects, right? Let's say somebody is like a really good nutritionist, meaning like they just know their shit when it comes to the science. nutrition, but they don't know how to take care of their body because they're lazy or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, right? Those are two separate things. Like the knowledge is there, but he just doesn't have the willpower or whatever to do it, right? He could be honest about that and give all his information, and if his stuff works, the numbers will prove itself, right? But at the same time, if you're trying to build a brand where you're trying to be like you're trying to lead by example, and you want what you want to say is like, look, I can do it too, and I want to motivate you to do it too. Those are
Mm-hmm.
two separate things. One is knowledge, the other one, in one you're selling knowledge, and then the
Yeah.
other one you're selling motivation, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like a little bit of both. But at the end of the day, like as long as you're honest about it, you're completely open about it. I think either way could work. Like if you do this way, then you have to actually try to lead by example, right? So maybe
Yeah.
you should quit smoking, right? Or but then be honest about it. I'm trying to quit smoking, but it's so hard. This is what I'm trying. Do you understand what I mean? At least, instead of just like completely hiding it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Completely lying about it. But I just feel like a lot of times those constraints are like we set it on ourselves.
Definitely. Nobody told me to stop being goofy when I talk to you when we start recording. Nobody told me that.
Mm.
And but I kind of sense that I should present myself like a serious professional here or something, not professional, but just at least not to sound unprofessional, you know, because I might say something stupid. Because when you're goofy, you don't think a lot about what you're going to say. So you might say something stupid. If you say something stupid, then you cannot take it back.
I think that's how children are, right? So I think we learn this over time to try
Mm-hmm.
to categorize ourselves into these boxes. Because when you talk to children, they'll talk the same way. Doesn't matter if they're at the doctor's, school,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
home, they talk the same way, right?
I mean, this also means that they don't know how to adapt to different environment.
Yeah,
You know, imagine I
yeah. I mean,
talk.
it's something that it's how we. I guess it's like how we live in society. Like there has to be some social norms for us to live in a society together, right? Like
It's not only that.
like for example, like I can't go into work and start dancing like it isn't like that. That would be that's
Yeah.
outside of the social norm, right? So we learn how to behave in a certain
I
places in
remember.
society.
I remember. I was so embarrassed one time. I was at my internship, and I got. I got some task to do, and I finished it. So when I finished it, because I was for 8 hours there, I got some book that is about their program. It's connected to my psychotherapy approach, so I needed to read it so that I can write text on their website. As I was reading, so the first thing, I was the only one that was reading a book in front of like other colleagues. They're doing something like serious, typing something, and I was reading the book, and that wasn't enough. I even like had another chair there, so I put my legs on that chair because it was more convenient. Like I'm doing that right now, and I was like, okay, there's a chair, I can put my legs and read. So and then like when like main person, how do you call like main person, like chef or
Mhm.
owner of that company, like was
Uh-huh.
passing by and he saw me like gently like reading book like with my legs on a chair. He's like, listen, you cannot do this. So I mean, it's, but I was like, I'm so sorry, I mean, but this, I finished my job, I need to do this also for our job. Yeah, but you know, this way you are showing other people that you are just taking this so unseriously.
Mhm.
another. Okay, so this is when I guess these things are necessary for you to understand that it's not that you can behave the same way to every context, because this was something that was convenient for me, but I need to learn to read the
There's
room.
like some sort of a social contract, right? Like, for example, you're not going to yell inside a library.
Yeah. Or if you do, then you're rude, not
Yeah,
good, not good librarian.
yeah. So there's like a so in that sense, yes, we're not exactly the same, but so I that's what I mean. Where do you draw the line between what's like just you following the social norm, social contract
Yeah.
versus at which point are you just being you know an imposter? Like I think only we can know. Like I think nobody else can know that except ourselves for us. I think there's like some sort of a feeling that you get when you feel like you've betrayed yourself,
Yeah.
when you feel ashamed or whatever.
So I guess if we imagine like an essence, I guess like 70% of you approximately should be the same, but like 30% or 20% should be you are adjusting to the context you are, and you are
That's what I
becoming
mean by that's
a
what I
change.
meant by like when somebody says like find yourself, right? Oh, I have to find myself or I have to find my voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the topics that like I wanted to ask you this, right? So when you come up with the carousel idea and like let's say I write it for you,
Mm-hmm.
like would you feel like oh this is not my voice? Like I need to find my own voice. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to find myself or I need to like though all of those things like I think that what people don't understand about like I need to when they say I need to find myself or I need to find you know my authentic self or whatever it is.
Okay.
I don't think they I don't think there's like something you have an authentic self that you're born with and you just you need to find that. So so you use that as a guiding light. That's not I don't think that's what it means. I think you find your authentic self every second of the day. It's an ongoing thing, right? Like when
When I think that.
like I can't pre-decide that if this situation happens, then I'm gonna do this instead of this. Like that decision, it's not like I've already made that decision because I know my authentic self. That's not how it works.
Mm,
Like we have to wait till that that decision shows itself to us, and now I have to make a decision between this and this, right?
I
And what
didn't.
is
I was distracted by my own thoughts, so I didn't listen.
like you know so when you said I was distracted by my own thoughts, you had a decision to make. Should I say
Mhm.
I was distracted by my own thought, or should I ignore that and
Pretend
pretend
like,
like
yeah,
I was listening? Like
yeah.
you have a choice, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now you're faced with the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like, should I do A or B? I don't know, right? But you have to wait till that moment to and then see what your authentic what does it feel like and then make the decision like okay I'm going to do this versus this, right? But in any of those given moments, I think once if you did make the right decision, I think it's going to be met with fear, but also like kind of some sort of a meaning after that fear. But when you pick the wrong decision, you're going to have less fear, like it's a safer route,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of feel like you betrayed yourself a little bit. And I think that's a distinctive feeling that everybody can feel,
But
right? But
but
only when that decision has been presented to you and you make that decision, then you know. You won't know it until you can't
but
logically figure out what I would do.
but
Hmm.
think about, there is something called procedural memory.
Hmm.
So for many things, so you know, when you tie your shoe, you need to explain somebody how you tie your shoe. Is it like the left one or the right one, or how do you do it? Many majority wouldn't know how to explain that to someone, but we don't have a problem to do it, because in this is part of our procedural memory. We learn by imitating, by experience, what we've been like soaking in as we were growing up. So um, imagine a person that was soaking up things. I don't know, they had parents that were very rigid and strict. They didn't allow them to explore things and to enjoy things. They were more like work hard and that's it. So in their procedural memory, when they approach new things, and when they have this decision you talked about, like decision to say, I was distracted by my own thoughts, or I will pretend like I'm following everything because I need to at least look like I pay attention, they wouldn't notice this choice, because in their procedural memory, obedience is so stronger than anything else. So when they need to find themselves, they need to actually unlearn what they learned in their procedural memory, to be aware that actually maybe they don't care for what you're saying, and maybe they don't listen because they don't care.
Yeah, so
So
the process of that person to find themselves would be like, yeah, I mean, the first time they do it, it won't. But if they're aware of, like, okay, like, how do I, if every, after every decision, they become being hyper aware of, like, how do I feel about this, right?
mhm,
Over time, I think they will learn. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe, like, I think that's what the free market does, right? Let's say, your parents were too strict, so you never obey any things, right? And then you got into the market, and you start to see, oh, my friend who doesn't obey the rules and is a wild man actually is doing better than me with
yeah.
his business or my career, right? Oh, and then like this person is also, and once they start aware that, like, all of those things are going to add up over time. I think that person, as long as you're present and you're open to it, I think it becomes very obvious what are the things that we learned as a child that's right versus wrong. Because I think that's the purpose of society, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what society over time, like, that's why I think it's you know the other day I was watching this video of this dog trainer, and what he does is he has a dog who trains other dogs. The dog trains the other dogs, and the way they do it is like, when this dog is like too aggressive in playing and try to dominate over other dogs every time, like, this dog will put him in his place, right? Like, but he
Mhm.
won't actually bite them. He'll like kind of just like very gently with his mouth, like pretend like he's biting them, and until they submit.
Mhm.
And what he's essentially teaching them is, he's teaching this young pup that you can't just go up to everyone and try to dominate like that. And if you go out in society and you do that, they're gonna bite you back.
Mhm.
So therefore, I'm teaching you by dominating you that you need to learn your place, right? And this is how the pup is learning how to behave in society, right?
Yeah.
So I I think over time, if that pup hadn't been taught that, and it just goes out into society, He's still gonna learn. He's just gonna learn the harder way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But I think as long as you're open to learning, I think the society will teach you the right way. That's what the real world does to you, as long as
Yeah.
you're open to learning. So I guess what I'm trying to say is
Mm-hmm.
finding
What
your
makes
authentic self.
someone open to learning? This is, I mean, it can be natural trait, okay, but
Open to
more.
learning is understanding what finding your authentic self means. Meaning, finding yourself, you're not this finite self that you need to find. And once you find it, that's it. It never changes. That's not like you yourself is always changing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way for you to find yourself because yourself is changing. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's just understanding that finding your authentic self is at every given moment when something happens, like pay attention to those feelings. Like, did I betray myself or do I feel good about this decision? And I think everybody knows, like, and that's why, to a certain degree, of course,
I don't think
people
so.
wanna
I don't think so.
like. Can,
Think about
can I
hard
just say one
workers.
last thing?
Hmm?
That's why when that person wants to go follow their heart and chase the pleasure of staying in bed, in the comfortable bed, okay, like, and then go order some pizza and eat pizza and watch Netflix all day, and like, like that. At the end of that, they feel like they betrayed themselves. They don't feel, um, and don't, and you have at that point, that person has to ask themselves, right? Be honest with themselves. It's like, do I feel good about this, or do I feel like I betrayed myself? And I think,
Okay. I guess when you share those examples, it is obvious because you feel empty. In the end of the day, every time when I watched, like when I binged some series or watched two or three movies for a day, at the end of the day, I was like dead inside. So this would teach me like, oh my God,
I think
Jelena,
there's a lot more than that, though. Like, because example, for example, let's say you had a really productive day and you
Mhm.
had some wins, right? You got a new client and you did
Yeah.
this, and then you finished all of your taxes and you had a really productive day. And then at the end of the day, you put on Netflix, you eat pizza, and you're enjoying yourself. Like, you wouldn't
Hmm.
have that same feeling, right?
Yeah.
So I I think I think through our actions and how we react to our decisions, we already know instinctively, intuitively. I think we know what our authentic self is. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay. So
But
I don't think.
you
Let
only
me let.
learn that when the situation
Um,
arises.
but let me. It is obvious when you talk about examples when somebody is lazy. But let's think about completely another example when somebody is working very hard. Think about, I don't know, when I think about my mom or other people that are having like really intensive like work ethics. So it looks like they are happy when they work a lot, and at the end of the day they can have a little bit of pleasure here and there. But many times they use work as an excuse to deal with their emotions, and they
But
have
I
hard
think deep
time.
down inside, they also know. Like, for example, if somebody's a workaholic
Okay.
and they're not really, let's say, taking care of their health, or they're not taking care of a relationship with their child or something like that because they're so busy working all the time, right? And they use work as like a, you know, like they're addicted, right? Basically, it's like a coping
Hmm.
mechanism for them when they want to avoid problems or whatever. I think at the end of the day, if there's like a problem at home that they're not dealing with, or they're missing their son's soccer game, because they have to go to this, they have to work on this. At the end of the day, those people that says, "Oh, sorry, I can't because I'm busy. I have so much work to do." I think those people, I think every time they say that, they feel a little bit of like betrayal. You understand? I think they know what's up. It's just that they're not willing to listen to that thing. If they just listen to that thing, it's like, what is this thing I feel inside, like where I feel guilty? Like, what is that? And if you just pay attention to that, I think you'll know. But I think most of us don't pay attention to that little voice inside us that tells us when we feel guilty versus when we feel fulfilled. When something feels meaningful versus something feels guilty.
So many workaholics would never go to therapy. I mean, if we imagine that therapy is a moment when somebody is noticing, acknowledging, like, okay, I have a problem that I don't know how to fix.
That's different though. That you have to be way over the like you by then it's like kind of it's pretty serious, right? By the time they realize that they have a problem, that they have a problem that and they because like what essentially what needs to be done is I have a problem, and that problem is self-imposed by me, and that's why I have no control over it because I am the problem. Do you understand what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
By the time you understand that, that means you've already hit rock bottom multiple times, probably. But I mean, all I'm saying is on the way to there, I think they betrayed themselves many, 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 many times, and they've done it so much to a point where it became numb.
So, do you think that they were aware of that? They were conscious of that small betrayal or not?
I think that I think they were conscious of it and they just ignored it. I guess it's kind of like when people cheat, right? Like when people cheat on their spouse, they know what they're doing is wrong, but they choose to ignore it and just do it, right? They know that the right thing to do. Let's say that I'm in a loveless marriage, and that's why I cheat. Let's say that, and that's the excuse that I'm coming up with in my head on why I'm cheating, right? They know that deep inside the right, like even then, they're gonna still feel guilty afterwards, and that they're guilty. That's why they're cheating, meaning they're not telling the truth to they're lying to their spouse, right? So obviously they know it's wrong. Otherwise, why lie about it, right? So deep inside, I think even the person who feels that they're they're in a bad relationship and that they're a victim and that's why they cheat, even those people deep down inside, I think knows that they're feeling guilty, because at the very least what they can do is they can go to that person and say, I don't want to be in this relationship, leave that relationship, and then start a new relationship. Right, like that.
Yeah.
If that's what they did, they wouldn't feel as guilty. Like they would actually feel. But I think deep inside, all of us have that thing, and I think it's like, so why do those people when they cheat, they still go through with it? It's because they're just ignoring that guilt, and they're just like, oh, he deserves it. Anyway, you know what I mean? So I guess what I'm saying is your authentic self is now like, okay, I have this authentic self. My authentic self is supposed to be with this person. That's not how it works. Your authentic self is actually moment to moment. Like at this point where I'm
Yeah.
about to cheat. Let's say, yes, I'm supposed to be this person. Even though, like at that moment, okay, who am I? Am I the type of person that would cheat and lie to somebody to go find my true love? Or am I the type of person that would go break up with this person, end it, and then go find true love. Who am I? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
So what I hear you saying is that, I mean, this is where people differ so much. When you use your frontal part of the brain, like neocortex, uh, this is like thinking part. It means that before you are in a room with another person, I don't know, unwrapping your clothes, so there were so many things happening. Maybe you had few looks on the hall. Maybe you liked I don't know, her pictures on Instagram. Maybe you exchanged few messages, so there were some flirting there. Let's think about that. And then if you have like if you use your cortex, you think about that. Like, what is this?
mm-hmm.
Is this why I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about
So
before I go to
I
sleep?
think, yeah.
Why I think about this person and not about my partner that lays next
Uh,
to me? So this means that you think about what is happening inside you. But if you are under pressure, or if you have poor regulating skills, like you're regulating your nervous system, which means that you will take too much work to do, or um, you will fall asleep at 2 a.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. and then go to work and then have like 5 coffees during the day, and then you have your energy crushes, and you are so overwhelmed with so many things. You have poor like physical and
well,
mental
that
health.
person is not. So the person that you're describing is not being present. They're constantly living in the future, right, or the past.
I think they're constantly under some pressure inside.
Yeah, and that pressure is coming from, oh, I need to finish this by this day. Oh, I need to get this. If I
Yeah,
don't do this, this is what's going to happen in the future. If I don't
yeah.
do this, I'm going to get fired. Like, so they're living in the future, or I know that this is going to happen because has happened. Uh, so they're constantly
I mean,
being
I don't think,
living of.
imagine that you are chased by a dog and you are running. Are you living in the future or in the past or in the present? How would you describe that state?
Depends on what you're doing, but like,
Imagine so the situation is this: you're running, you saw a dog, they're barking at you, you see it's dangerous, and you instinctively start running to come to the tree and to climb on a tree. Let's say it like that. So in the moment of running, how would you
that's a
describe
good
where are
example because like the person who has uh, been bitten by a dog before, let's say immediately starts running away at a dog barking,
you? Mm-hmm.
that person is living in the past, right? Because it's
Okay.
the past fears that's driving them, right? Um, or like, let's say somebody is like running away from the dog because they don't want, let's say the dog is going to drool all over him and it's going to mess up his clothes and he's going on a
Mm-hmm.
date later and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want his clothes to be messed up, right? So that person is living in the future, right? Because he's trying to
Mm-hmm.
protect his future self. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So most people are either living in the future or past or both. You understand what I mean? And I think that like the person who's constantly always busy, always looking for one thing after another. Oh, I gotta do this now. I gotta like I know because that was me 10 years ago. Like what that person is doing is that person is like that person is saying to himself like I'm gonna work my ass off for the next 10 years and then retire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, once I get here, I'll be good. That's what that person is thinking. But they need to get rid of that mentality because however they're working today is how they're going to be working 20 years from now. That mentality, because it's just that the thing that you're stressed about is going to be much bigger things you're stressed about 20 years from now. But
Yeah.
it, however you live
So
today. Like you just need to calm down and be present. And being present, it'll show you like, am I busy because I keep making the same mistake over and over and over? Am I stuck in a loop? Is that why I'm busy? Am I
mhm,
keep posting content when it's not like sometimes you just need to stop, slow down, be present, and check in with yourself, right? And I think that is the act of finding your true self. That's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you find your true self moment to moment, all day, every day. Like every day you have the opportunity to be authentic to yourself. Like let's say, you know, you went to a coffee shop and you made a passive aggressive comment and uh, to your friend, right?
mhm,
Let's say, oh, you lost so much weight, like, you look so much
mhm.
better, or whatever comment in a, let's say, in a
Okay.
passive aggressive way or something like that. Like at that moment, you have the opportunity to be like, oh, that didn't feel right, or like, oh, that felt great,
Mhm.
or whatever it is, right? But I think like you
Okay.
kind of have to. You
So
can't
you
you'll miss that chance off if you're constantly thinking about the future and you're just moving into the next thing. You just need some time to be present and reflect on your true self.
so
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
okay. I mean, this is so interesting. Um, if I think
And that's
about,
why meditation is so important, I think, by the way.
I hate meditation.
But there's other forms of meditation.
Irrelevant.
That's why people say like going for a walk is good, right? Like for me, when I'm riding a motorcycle is when I get the best ideas. Because when you're riding a motorcycle, you literally have to turn off your brain because I
Yeah.
can't focus on anything other than what's in front of me. And I have to be super aware of my surrounding, otherwise I can die. So it forces you to be in that place. And when you're like riding your motorcycle for an hour, like it clears your head, and then it allows like more logic to start making sense. So it's like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm doing that thing stupid. Like so, it's almost a form of meditation.
By the way, does it happen for people? I mean, this is maybe stupid thing to ask, but does it happen for people to fall asleep on a motorcycle? Is it
I
a
don't know.
thing? Does it happen?
I had a friend his wife would ride in the back, and he
Okay.
said his wife used to fall asleep in the back,
Oh my God, that's
which is
dangerous.
scary. Yeah, yeah. So he always like yells at her for that.
I mean, I guess you get bored. I mean, the only thing you're doing is like this. This is your life for for an hour or for 2 hours. Okay. So back to the topic. Think about dogs. So you're chased by a dog. The thing is, you're chased by multiple dogs during the day and during every day of your life, most of the days of your life. So I guess if we are in our procedural memory, if we learned that if you see a dog, run, because somebody maybe passed this on you because they had bad experiences, or maybe you were bitten by a dog and you should run from a dog. In that case, this is something you instinctively do. This is your way. You ran the first time, the second time, the third time, the fifth time. And at some point, so this is where growth happens. You might ask yourself, like, is there anything else? So why do I always run? Why this guy here is like befriending with a dog?
Well,
This
that's
person
probably
here.
not what's happening, right? What's happening is throughout that person's life, what he's gonna realize is, oh, his neighbor just got a dog, and the dog is really
Mhm,
friendly, and he's like,
mhm.
oh, no. But then he's kind of jealous because his neighbor and everyone else is playing with that dog. Like then he has to ask myself, like, what's wrong with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so that's the little mini aha moment there, right? And then also like whenever like he runs away from a dog, let's say his friends are like kind of laughing at him, like, like where are you running away? Again, right? So little by little by little, something is gonna start building up within him that goes is like, why am I running?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and now after I run, why do I feel guilty? Because my friends are making fun of me, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think at some I I honestly do believe this. Like all those people who are doing bad things, whatever it is that you would see as bad, like I think deep down inside they know. I think the only difference is between the people, the actual good people versus bad people, is that the good people are actually listening to those consciousness and doing something about it, whereas in the bad people are ignoring those consciousness, like the conscience. And it's kind of like I remember this one guy on a YouTube video. He's like an Amish person, and I remember him saying, you know, a lot of people believe in the Bible, but they don't obey the Bible, right? So a lot of people say they're Catholics, for example. Well, then you shouldn't be having sex before you're married, right? So there's a difference between believing in something or believing that something is the right thing to do or having the knowledge of that versus actually following it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I guess what I'm trying to say is I think ultimately most of us don't have problem with the believing or the knowledge. It's just that we don't want to follow. We don't want to listen to that intuition.
We don't want to listen to that intuition. Why?
We don't want to listen to that intuition. So what ends up happening is as soon as somebody says, "Oh, just follow your dream, just chase passion, like do what makes you happy." As soon as somebody says that, I'm gonna misread it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that deep down in my conscious is telling me that in order for you to what makes you feel really fulfilled and meaningful is actually doing the hard work,
Yeah.
right? But what you want to do is eat pizza and play Xbox all day, right? But deep down inside, I know that if I do that, I'm not going to feel good at the end of the day. But I still do it, right? But in that moment, my conscience is battling. Like, do I do the hard thing or do I just eat pizza and Xbox? So, like, I have to make that decision, right? But then, when I hear a message somebody that says like, "Oh, just do what makes you happy," right? I want to start using that as an excuse. Like, of course, I
Mm-hmm.
want to hear that. Of course, I want to hear people say, "Oh, you're perfect the way you are," or like, of course, I want. That's what I want to hear because that's easy.
Yeah.
But my conscience, deep inside, is knows that that's not the answer. You know what I mean? That's why I think the just follow your dream, do what you love is
So
was a bad
yesterday,
message for the last generation.
yesterday I watched Usain Bolt documentary,
Hmm.
and there was one point in his life before like last Olympic Games where he won, when he should he at that point he should start already preparing for Olympic Games or for some competition, whatever. But he was losing motivation. He was like, I already won things. I have like, I don't know, 2 world records. Like, he couldn't make himself do it. So he likes to party, and he would party, and he would, I don't know, maybe avoiding trainings, or maybe his timing wasn't so good. And he was on the edge to, like, almost not to quit, but kind of like to show up and not be as good as he can be. So I'm thinking now, what means to be your real self, because in his case he was doing what pleases him, like to be with, I guess, his family, to have parties, to enjoy his like comfort food. This is what pleasures him. But at certain point, one competitor told gave some interview, I think so, where he said that he, the competitor, would win this competition. I would win. Like, I am prepared to win. And when he saw that, he was like, "Oh, you are not going to win." And this is where actually this fueled his motivation. And he showed up next day 5 a.m., like on a training, practicing. He said, like, even that he trained so much that he would vomit many times, because he would push his far from good limit. So in his case, is that his true self? And that's when he won, and another Olympic, like third Olympic Games, and so many other things. So in other categories, is
Only
this
he
it?
knows. Like you would never know, because
Yeah,
that true self is different for everyone, right? For
yeah,
for some people, they might feel guilty not parting with their friends and family and
yeah,
winning a medal, and for some others, they would feel guilty doing this over. It's like, so it's different,
yeah.
really.
You heard probably for Nikola Jokic. You know who is he? He's NBA player, and right now he's some MVP, something so good. But when
Mhm.
they ask him, he's not like a prototype of a very good player, because when you ask him, like, how do you feel when you, I don't know, had this much successes, and you won so many games, and you had so many assisted 100% assistance, and 100% something, and 100% some, he's like, yeah, you gotta do the job, that's it. And he's passionate about horse racing, so he watches horse races, and he's all when he has his own horse. So he's much more passionate about, is his horse going to win, or if they're going to win the game, because it's job, he doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's what I mean. I think everybody has to know that, and I think that we find ourselves like that too, right? Because we might feel one way, and then we make these decisions, and then over time we realize it's actually that's not. Do you know what I
mhm.
mean? And I think at every given moment we need to take that risk
Yeah, you need to
of
be
like,
open to course correct yourself.
yeah, well, we have
So
to do the thing that we fear, but we know we're gonna feel guilty if we don't, right? So we need to make that decision moment to moment, and then what happens as a result of that is your true self.
mhm.
If that makes sense. And
Yeah.
then you do that, you reiterate that over and over and over, and then you're drawing your map of your life as you go. So it's not like you already know the destination of your true self. Finding your true self is a never. It's an everlasting act. It's
Mhm.
not something you do it once and then you're done. Now I found myself. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. You know what is the problem? What is the problem in this? Because we mess we mess our head with our, let's say, inner contact, or being present in our, like, body. So let's say it like that, just for now, because when people say you should be your true self, and then you have a lady that is gazing in the distance, writing her journal, and then I don't know, unfollow or every account that don't support your well-being.
Mhm.
So in that case, or you have a guy that, like, I had this much weight, but I said to myself, I'm gonna be my true self. So then I cut my comfort food, fast food, and I started going to gym like every day. And then you have like pictures of
Mhm.
him sweating and pushing himself. So you kind of, then he started his business, and it was then he struggled in his garage, but eventually now he has, I don't know how much money on his bank account. And when you see this, when somebody sees this in their head, so they imagine how they look and what should they have for them to be in their true self. So they're not really in contact, like, do I really care about this? Do I want to do this? Am I, what actually is something that I'm not satisfied about at my job or at my profession or with my partner? But I'm imagining, okay, if this girl has, I don't know, looks super cute with her boyfriend, and I look at my boyfriend and this is not it. So this is, I don't know, failed relationship. So I guess where things mess up is when we project how our true self should look like, and we don't actually live to see what are these small decisions, one a decision at a
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We think that there's like a there's this destination of our true self, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what that looks like. But
Yeah.
that you don't know the destination. That's why you need to live.
Yeah.
That's why like how you live your true self every day is what reveals the destination. And not knowing that destination is the exciting part, right?
I feel like I'm on the opposite way, but maybe this is not good. If you do it like, if you think about the opposite way, if on one end is you think about what you should do, but I
I
think
think
that,
most people live somewhere in between. So
and
I
they
think that
should.
I
Yeah.
think they know what their intuition wants them to do. And they know this other thing where that I should do this, right? And then I think they live somewhere in between. For example, like
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. I think people create content like um they want to say this, but they're afraid to say it because they think that this is what people want to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they end up doing is they go halfway. So they kind of like try to say what they want to say, but in a way that people would want to hear
Mm-hmm.
it. Do you understand what I mean? And
Yeah.
then that's when it becomes bad. You should either give the people exactly what they want, or you should do it 100% your authentic way, and either way will work. But I think when you do it halfway, it just sounds half-ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to like you know how like sometimes I'll rewrite your carousels,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're like, oh no, I can't post this, or like it just doesn't sound like you, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think that is? Like what do you think is the thing about it that doesn't sound like you? Because it's like, is it the way it's written, or is it the content, or is it the context? Is it?
I mean, if we think about your profession and my profession, your profession, it's not about profession, but core of my work is listening and understanding so different aspects of a person. So making space for things that nobody cared about, or nobody made time to talk about that, or somebody was too ashamed to talk about that. So my job, by core of it, is inclusion. So let's include different aspects of yourself. And what you're doing is simplifying things and saying, from this, okay, let's put it into categories and make, I never thought about it that way. And your point is to give the juice, to be like, to have a good hook and to engage with the audience. And you don't care
So
for
my
those people that would, I mean, it's not that you don't care, but when you post
here,
it.
so my question would be this at that point, right? So
Mhm,
this is how you find your authentic self, your authentic voice.
mhm,
On one hand, you want to make these kind of carousels
yeah,
that's gonna go viral and get you
yeah,
views and grow your
yeah,
account. That on one hand, there you have this desire, right? On
I
the
agree.
other hand, you want to be nuanced, and you don't want to be make carousels like this, right? Like
Yeah,
this is your authentic voice. This is my voice,
yeah,
right? This is not my voice, right?
yeah,
But one's gonna get you the result that you want, and the other one will also probably give you the result if you go all in on it, like meaning all the goofiness and everything included.
mhm,
But somewhere in between is not gonna work, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say, knowing your authentic self, is kind of like this. Like we need to, because that's kind of what a lot of people do when when they when they ask me questions. Because a lot of people, they want to enjoy their life and live this happy, enjoy. I want to go to the park in the afternoon, and I'm going to go out to dinner, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to enjoy my life and spend time with family and friends. But I also want to build $1 million business.
mhm,
Okay. So I think finding your true self is really understanding what am I willing to give up and what am I not willing to give up, right? Because clearly those things are at odds with each other, right? Like building a successful business means that you are going to sacrifice some stuff, right? That you are going to do a lot of boring things. You are going to do hard work, and you are not going to change your passion like all the time, just doing something that makes you happy, right? So I think a lot of people need to make a decision, and I think the reason why most people don't know their true self is because they're trying to live somewhere in between, but they don't know exactly where in between that is, right? Like,
mhm,
and I think that's why people say, "Oh, I don't care about money," and then they do care about money deep inside, and it's
yeah,
just people are just contradicting themselves left and right, right?
yeah. You need to let something go, and this is very hard for me. Yesterday, I was at some workshop about how to make some plan for this year, but to include your priorities and so on. And the thing, like how to prioritize, this is the hardest thing because you need to let go something. And
Yeah, it's the thing that's like, just think about this, right? Like whenever somebody says everything is a priority, everything is important, that's how you know that this person is not really interested in solving the problem.
yeah, that's
Because in order to solve the problem, the first thing you have to do is you need to prioritize, right? So if somebody says, oh, I wanna fix homelessness in America, but I also wanna, help the illegal immigrants too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need to prioritize one over the other because one is actually hurting the other.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Or if you want to say, I want the world to stop using fossil fuel, but I want to help people in poverty. Well, fossil fuel is what helps those people in poverty. So you're gonna have to prioritize, pick one, right?
Yeah.
It's just that when somebody hasn't had the responsibility to fix problems on their own, they think they can fix everything all at once. But that's just not how. Like we have to decide. Like, oh, I wanna, I wanna have a successful business, but I also want to be free and yeah. So do you and everyone else in the world.
True.
It's just like well, you have to make a decision, right? You know, am I gonna make? I'm happy with this amount of money, and after that, it's just I just want to enjoy life, and is that what I
Mm-hmm.
want? Or and if so, what is that amount of money? And be honest with yourself, right? And be honest with yourself. Are you sure it's going to be enough once you hit that number? Like all of these things, we just have to be completely honest with ourselves. Because I think once we're honest with ourselves, like for me, like I've made a decision that, you know, money is only important for me to a certain degree, right? Because I have to live.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like I'm really not, I am gonna, I am gonna choose to, I guess, say what I want to say over having to, um, just, just like for example, like I'm more interested in really experimenting with Night Owl Nation to figure out how this community can work and how it can
Mm-hmm.
really figure out how to get people interested in doing the work. I'm more interested in that experiment than making money from it. Because if I just wanted to make money from it, I would have made a lot of different, much easier decisions, right?
Yeah. I know.
And so, yeah, so I think we just have to be clear, and then based on that,
I want to
and the
ask you
way we become clear is at any give those moments, we have to ask ourselves, okay, I don't care about money, but my neighbor just bought a new car, and I'm jealous. Why?
yeah, it means that you don't give enough. Probably you don't.
Yeah, or maybe there's something even deeper underneath it. Maybe you feel, you know what I mean. Maybe you feel like the car or the house or thing has to support your status because maybe you don't feel good enough. Maybe you think that you're like you know what I mean. But if you actually had a hobby that you're good in, right, then maybe that'll change that, right?
Hmm.
I actually think that's one of the things. Like most people that I talk to, most people don't have that one hobby that they're really absolutely obsessed with to a point where they're like, they're at the top of their game when it comes to that hobby, whether it's fantasy baseball or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
right, like snowboarding or whatever it is. Because when you usually people that are obsessed with one hobby or something like that, those are the people that really know their true self.
Um, a random fact, but
Hmm.
irrelevant. I had my kind of my assumption when I thought when I was with my thoughts, when I was observing people that were artists, like they do that as their job or in their free time. So I noticed that their homes are usually kind of messy with a lot of stuff everywhere, and it looks like they don't care too much about if things around them are old in home, because their focus is like their hobby and they have their gigs. So um, they just don't care. And I
Yeah,
noticed some same vibe in different homes where it's like artistic home.
like hippies are like that too.
Yeah. So
And then you see somebody in different communities where that's their entire identity,
mhm.
where like inviting people for dinner parties and then having the perfect dinner set and then showing them the tour of the house and that whole thing, that's like their entire identity. They
Yeah.
live for that, right? But I guess
Um,
like we just all have to ask ourselves like is that really what we want? Is that what's making us happy? Or you know.
yeah. I want to ask you something. So how you so do you still work in your agency? Are you still engaged in projects in your agency?
Yeah, a little bit. Only the projects that I want to be involved.
So if you can say what percentage of your time you are engaged in that and what percentage in the community or some other
Oh,
mix you
probably
have.
like 10%, less than 10%. I think right now, like a lot of my time is um, going into like coming up with new lessons that I want to create on this courses that I'm
Mhm.
creating in Circle. That's where a lot of my energy, like, or how do I need to structure a Night Owl Nation currently at the moment. And then there are some times where, you know, it's going into something different. But
Okay.
currently in the moment,
So in the moment, like maybe in the last 2 weeks, so what percentage of your free time you are engaged in Night Owl Nation?
engaged meaning what? Like doing anything
How
for
much
Night Owl Nation?
time? Yeah, well, you can maybe put in some categories like for creating content and for um this also is like Night Owl Nation thing. And
I would
also
say probably like 90% of my time is going into coming up with the
Mhm.
curriculum, the structure right now though. But that's a right now is a very
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
not the norm.
Okay. And so you don't create content right now?
But normally if it was like on an average day of the year, probably like only 20% of the time on the content.
Okay. And the rest of it?
It's like everything else, like engaging the community, like reading their stories, you know,
It's like
like doing
70% of
these.
time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So you do you have some did you make some kind of priorities for this year? So about your time management or something like that.
No, it's pretty much the same. Once like everything gets back to normal,
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably spend the most time in the community, just engaging with people, you know,
Okay.
like going to doing more workshops, small group meetings.
Okay. By the way, if you need help with
That's where I want to
curriculum,
spend most of my ideally I would love to spend 100% of my time on that.
oh. So who would create content then?
No, I think I still have to make content because I actually think that making content is also part of it
Yeah.
because
I mean, if you're 90% of your free time in the community, well, it's almost 100, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when I make content, I learn stuff. I You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I learn like, oh, I tend to use words like this, or I tend to, like, you know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
you have to be a practitioner of what you teach. I believe.
Yeah. So I guess if I 60% of time I'm in psychotherapy, then rest of it I can do for content, and then like 20% on content creating and 20% on preparing for my
Indeed.
final exam for psychotherapy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is
Yeah,
something,
but you know, like what you should do, because that's like a temporary thing, right? Preparing for the final exam.
but
So
it
you
will
should
take,
get that out of the way first, because
yeah.
you've been
Okay.
telling yourself you're gonna do that for a long time, right? So it's just like having that open in your. I just feel like things like that, like hanging around in your background, is
Mm-hmm.
just gonna make your whole life a drag, right? So just you know, get that out of the way first, as soon as you
Okay, well,
can.
I need to
And
work.
maybe you shouldn't even think of it as like, oh, I need to do the perfect piece. Like, no, just check the boxes to get it done in the shortest amount of time possible. Because you have to like know your authentic self, right? You have to like, are you doing this so you can actually learn, or are you doing this just so that you can get the papers?
Well, I think it's both, to be honest, because this is the first time when it's not a classical exam. They will actually want to hear me out and to for me to have opportunity to really share how I work. So it's not a classical like classic exam. This is what I've been doing for the previous 10 years, you know.
I know, but you don't think that the way you're doing it is like the standard way to pass the test.
I'm not doing this the standard way because people that some colleagues like 5 years ago they finished this and now they are into their practice, they just took this burden off. So yeah, of course, even if I do this just to finish it, I know that it will be it will be okay, it will be like at
I
least
mean, but
average.
I guess what I'm saying is, you know, you have to know, because if you want to, because sometimes you're gonna do more work and it pays less at the end too. Do you understand what I mean?
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
like, I think a lot of people, like a lot of times we make these decisions, be like, oh, I'm gonna do it the hard way anyway, right? But then
Hmm.
sometimes like doing the hard way might get in the way of you getting the certificate. Do you understand what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah, this is definitely getting in the way for the for me getting the certificate, I
So
get
I
it.
think sometimes we need to, you know, you need to separate the two, right? Like you're just, you know, playing basketball because that's your job, but
Hmm.
you actually love, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it was, golf or whatever, what did it say?
So horses.
Oh yeah, so he
So
loves horses. So like, yeah, you gotta separate the two.
okay.
I mean, at least then you don't have to worry about this thing, the certificate, right? At least that's done with,
Hmm.
and now you can fully focus on what you want to do.
Okay, then I can, for example, not accept new clients for now.
If that's gonna help you get the certificate faster.
Yeah, and then like start doing my paper. Okay,
I feel like
so
just getting the certificate done, like first you have to ask yourself, do you really want this or not, right? And if the answer, like, and the truth is, if the answer is no, actually I don't even need it, then it's a completely different answer, right? Like, and then, but if the answer is yes, I need the certificate, and there's no way around it, then the best thing to do is to get it out of the way as soon as you can, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually focus on. But I have a feeling that you already knew this.
Yeah, but I don't talk with other people because nobody in my environment, they all are kind of afraid to ask me what is happening because I'm too irritated with myself for them to put salt on my wound. So they're just avoiding to ask me hard questions like, "Are you doing your thesis? Are you finishing it?" Like, no, I'm not doing it, and I
Mhm.
will do it at some point. So I guess these questions are pushing
See,
me.
like that's yeah, that's this is exactly what I meant by when you feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
You might try to lash
Totally.
back, like stop pushing me, rah, 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 yeah, rah. But you know that deep inside
Yeah.
where that's coming from is your own guilt,
Yeah.
and this is what finding your true self looks like.
I hate it. I hate finding my true self. Um, okay. So let me ask you one more thing. So when you said that you, let's say 90% of your time are now working about for curriculum and so on. So how much hours per day you dedicate to your work?
Maybe like between 6 and 8 hours.
Okay. So the whole work, including like this 10% that you are engaged in, like your agency.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this what we are talking? Is this your working hours? Are these your
Mhm.
working hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
So,
know. I don't know if it's possible for somebody to really work more than 8 hours a day. They might say they are,
mhm,
but uh, you know, like they you can sit in your desk. That doesn't mean that you're getting work done, right? And also, it
yeah.
doesn't mean you're. I think like 8 hours is like the max amount that we can be productive without. And then
Okay.
after that, it starts becoming diminishing. Like
Okay.
whether you spend 8 hours or 10 hours, I think you're still gonna do 8 hours of work. You know.
So this is like 6 to 8 hours of
Yeah.
efficient work.
Yeah. Actual work, right? And then
Does it mean
there's
that maybe
other stuff
you,
I do, like watching YouTube videos, but that's not really work, right? I mean,
okay, okay.
it's
Let
supporting with
please,
my work.
please surrender to my investigation skills to see how you spend your time. Uh, when you say that you work 6 to 8 hours, is that do you sometimes maybe sit at your desk for, I mean, sit at your desk for 10 hours, but you are not productive, or maybe you whole day,
Yeah,
you are
exactly.
around, but
Yeah,
it's 8 hours
I,
efficiently.
I'm only getting 6 to 8 hours of work done in a day. So I might sit at my desk and watch YouTube videos or watch some podcast on storytelling or
Okay.
like all of those kind of, or like listen
So,
to Chuck Palahniuk on a podcast or something like that. But that's not like to me. I don't feel like that's like work, right?
okay, if
Because
you
it's not
include that
actually.
as well, if you include
Mhm.
that kind of fluent time where you are kind of working but in the topic, how much of how many hours is that?
Probably a lot, maybe 10 hours, 12 hours. Because I would even include like if I watch a TV show or watch a movie, I would include that into there too.
You would or you wouldn't?
I would. I mean,
Okay.
those are all leisure hours, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the kind of thing, right? Like for me, learning is considered leisure. Like
Mm-hmm.
listening to a podcast about storytelling, that's not work for me.
Yeah.
Like I want to do that, and that's my break time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have some hobby?
I ride my motorcycle.
How often do you ride your motorcycle?
Maybe like, I mean, I try to ride it every day now
Mm-hmm.
because it's warmer, but once a week, I guess,
For how long?
maybe like an hour, couple hours.
Okay.
I mean, when the weather is nice, I guess.
So,
But I think my real hobby is actually a lot of the things that are related to my work, like listening to those podcasts
yeah.
about comedians, about writers, uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I
learning
find
about
myself
storytelling.
many times when I take a walk, I can just listen to music, or I can, I don't know, choose something that is maybe listen to a radio, but I choose something that is maybe on YouTube or some educational program about psychotherapy that I like, or something that I already attended and I have some tapes that I can listen to. So it's my leisure time or some my, I don't know, hobby time,
Yeah,
but I mixed it. Or when I cook, I would listen something that is about education. So okay, so do you exercise?
no, not really.
Why?
Not right now. I should though.
Okay. So why you don't
I should
exercise?
maybe like go jogging with Gigi.
Okay. Why you don't do it?
I don't know. I guess I guess I need to like build a habit of it again. I used to do it like
Mhm.
every morning,
Really?
but that's when it
Every
was like a
morning?
habit. Yeah,
Wow.
like back in New York
For how long? I mean, in minutes,
for a
or
while, like
like
30 minutes to an hour.
that's
I
quite
mean,
some time.
there was like a period of time when I was doing yoga every morning,
Mm-hmm.
but that's like too much.
Okay. So you kind of um
I don't like going to like a strict schedule regimen, like how some people really block their time.
mm-hmm.
Like that's never really worked for me, but maybe I should.
Do you block? What happens when you, so do you, how do you plan if you're going to create content for your page, create carousel or story or TikTok video?
Like I haven't posted in the last couple of weeks, but usually what I do is I do it all in one day now. Like
What do you mean by all?
I would spend one day making like two or three carousels.
Okay.
The other content are just like videos, so they're already edited. I just have to schedule them. I don't really have to do it. And then I'll go through a period of time when I have all these ideas for tweeting, so those get saved,
Okay.
and I'll spend one day kind of editing it a little bit and then scheduling them.
And
But I
how
have
do,
to like I can when I make content, I have to be in that mode of making content.
okay, do you avoid when you finish it? I mean, when you get in your like mojo and your whole day into that, next time when you decide that you should create content, do you feel like a little bit, do you procrastinate, like I'll do it tomorrow, or you have like a certain day for creating content?
So for me, I guess it's because I've done this so many times, I now I understand this. Like I think when you're a newbie, when
Mm-hmm.
you just start out in design or something like that, you're like, oh, I have idea and I want to make it right now, and like everything is just a feeling that when I feel motivated, I'll do it. When I'm inspired, I'll do it, or if not, I won't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, you get to the point where like it just doesn't inspire. Everything is just boring now because you've done it so many times, and you don't even want to have any motivation to do anything, and you don't even have ideas, right? But then when this is your job, like me, right? It's a client's not gonna wait for me to have inspiration for them to design their website. Like I have to deliver when this page needs to be designed or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when something becomes a job like that, and you just keep doing it over and over for years, you get to a point where you understand. It's just like a chef cooking is a job, just like you stocking things is a job. Like there's like a setup process. You just sit and you start writing and move on. Set a process that you can use to get it to a point where you have ideas, and you
Mm-hmm.
just have to sit and put in the work. And just like anything else, at some point it becomes fun. Like if you think of like um, washing your car as a chore, so much work. Yeah, you can think of it like that. But if you think of washing your car and like detailing it every little point and making it perfect, if you
Mm-hmm.
think of treat it as like a work of art,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, there's gonna come a point when it's like, okay, this is gonna take me 4 hours to clean this car or whatever. But then once you start, you get to a point where you're getting into it and you're like, now, yeah, now I want to make it perfect.
Okay, help me with this.
Mhm.
So I have a colleague, and we have scheduled 5 meetings where we cover, so every time before our meeting we cover 2 chapters of one very important book for psychotherapy, and I adore this thing. For example, today we had at 8 a.m. we had a meeting from 8 a.m. to 9:30, but I didn't finish this chapter, so I read in the evening, and I put my alarm clock like at 6:30 to wake up and to read before I meet with her. And I wasn't lazy. I really, even though I had hard time falling asleep, I was tired. I got up and I was reading, and I enjoyed this conversation.
Mhm.
So I guess that my fuel is fear of deadline. So even I like that time so much, it needs to be some attached to some
I see what
deadline.
you mean. Yeah, yeah, me
So
too.
how to
I'm
make
like that.
that with creating content? Because otherwise, if I schedule time, I will just say, "Yeah, I don't feel like it." But I didn't ask myself tomorrow
Yeah, that's why putting out
morning.
content is kind of similar to that, right? If you made a promise that you're gonna post every day, then then every day before at this time, you need to post.
But promise to who?
I mean, ideally, you just make the promise to yourself and you keep it. But if that's hard,
Not
then
working.
you gotta make a promise announcement to the world, saying every day at this time, I'm going to post.
Okay, let's
And you
let's
tell
try.
all your friends every day at this time I'm going to post, and if I don't, keep me accountable, send me a message. And
Okay, what if?
see, you're too scared to do that, huh?
So, what if I promise to you, like, I mean publicly right now, but I don't feel public. I don't know what public means. I don't care for, because I don't see person. But
well, you make a post. I just feel like maybe the first thing you need to do is you need to understand that when you're putting out a piece of content, it's not just going on out in the air and disappearing. There's actual human beings on the other end seeing it. Like, number one, you need to recognize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because every time
Okay,
you put out a piece of content, you have to feel like a little bit exposed.
maybe to imagine that I'm posting this to my clients, existing clients.
Yeah. Maybe imagine that this is going out to everyone you know, and everyone you know is going to see this.
That this will
I mean, I
definitely.
think you have to understand that, like, that, and it's ultimately it's going to start happening. Like, if I don't post for a while, people will DM me, be like, "Son, where are you? Okay? Where are you?" Like, you know what I mean?
But the thing is, it looks like in your case, you maybe are into that, so you feel that obligation. But I don't feel obligation. I will just say there's no content. I mean, I just watch something else. If you
I
have a
think you have
question,
to. I think you have to have that obligation, though. So
what
maybe
if?
your true
What if?
self is figuring out, okay,
What if?
why do you want to post content? What what is the what is the thing that's telling you that you have to post content? Maybe you don't have to post content.
The thing is, maybe I don't. What is contradicting with this? Because I really like to engage with ideas and to exchange opinions. So I like to talk. So as I'm talking to you, as I like to express my opinion and to be influenced by your opinion, I do that in my like regularly everyday life. So this is something that I guess naturally, this is why I'm naturally drawn to doing this, to maybe post this, because part of me assumes that this will also be another channel to do the same thing that I'm already doing.
Then you have to commit to that and
Yeah.
try it to see if that's correct.
Yeah. What if we have like,
I mean, I think the only way you'll know is if you have to do it first, and then I think then you listen to your true self, and I think you'll
what
know.
if,
Okay, I think
what
this
if,
is
what if
what
we
if.
have like a, maybe I told you this already, but maybe it's not the same thing. We have
Mhm,
like a buddy person from the community. So we are two buddies, like me and my colleague, that we schedule time for
I think
working
that'll definitely work.
on
Like, I
on
think it
that.
works better if it's more than just one buddy. If it's like four people, because I actually know
Yeah.
somebody who did this with four of her friends,
Okay. Like
and
what?
yeah,
I mean, what did
like
they do? They,
they said they're gonna post every day on Twitter every day, and she's posted every day, like for like months.
did they have some meeting to kind of,
Yeah, I think they met once a week on Zoom, and then they just have like a chat group.
what if we do something like that? What if we have something like that in our community body system?
Yeah, that would definitely work. I guess I have to figure out how to actually automate that or something. Because we have to figure out a system where they have to form their own. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, a small group can be like that, kind of, if you think about it.
Well, it was, but I guess that I think already what we are doing in small groups is more to kind of finding our own voice or story, or so we are doing the essence, and this is more like practical thing. So the point is for you to post.
I'm just saying it can be done in a small group too. I guess is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Because some small group can be like, oh, we want to keep each other accountable. I mean, like if there's no need to create a whole separate thing for this, is what I'm saying. It can work within small groups. Like one thing that I noticed is every time we try to add a new process or a new something,
Mm-hmm.
it just confuses everyone. So I'm
That's
actually
true.
trying to figure out a way to simplify it more, not add
Okay.
more stuff. Okay, so to finalize, I think my final message would be to not try to find yourself, because there's no such thing as a
Mm-hmm.
finite yourself. Yourself is constantly changing over time. So the way you find yourself is just to look within, moment to moment, every day, and ask yourself, okay, is what I did, was I what I did meaningful? What was it? Me betraying myself?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that can
So
come like literally day to day. Let's say you promised yourself that you're gonna post every day, and let's say today you didn't post, right? And you gotta now go in and ask yourself, did this feel meaningful, or do I feel I betrayed myself?
mm-hmm.
And I think over time your intuition will tell you. You're like, oh, I think I'm just posting content for the sake of it. It's not even really helping me. I'm just doing it because everybody's saying it. Then you might posting every day might actually make you feel like you're doing something wrong, right? But if you have something to say and you want to voice yourself, you know and you're not doing that, then not posting will make you feel bad, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
even post to post, like when you post something versus something else that wasn't right, like from post to post, you'll know, like, oh, that felt right. Or when I posted this and the reaction that I got, the reaction and the engagement that I got, that feels right. And I think from just by taking these actions moment to moment, it'll create more opportunities for you to realize what's right or what's wrong. So that's my final message: is you find yourself moment to moment like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So to end this call, answer me on this question. For people that like spicy food, is it better to have poor spicy tolerance or good spicy tolerance?
What does that mean? What's poor spicy tolerance versus good spicy?
You know, when somebody tastes something spicy, it's kind of burns in
Mm-hmm.
their mouth. This is poor spicy tolerance.
Oh, so you mean low spicy tolerance versus high
Yeah,
spicy
yeah,
tolerance?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Low and high. Okay, this is better said.
So for somebody who likes spicy food,
Mm-hmm.
is it better to have high spicy tolerance or low spicy tolerance?
Mm-hmm.
High,
Why?
because then they can try more spicy food.
Okay, this is what majority would say. But thing that you didn't count is that if you have high spicy tolerance, you will try more and more spicy food, but also this will mess up with your stomach. So your stomach would hurt.
So you can't eat too much spicy.
Then, and let's not talk about when it needs to go out of your system. So if you have low spicy tolerance, a little bit of that would give you some chills.
Then
You
you
can now,
really enjoy it when you,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
you can now say, I never thought about it that
Because,
way.
yeah, I never thought of it that way. Like, instead of eating spicy all the time, like, you eat less. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is, people who have, like, Gigi has super low spicy tolerance when I first met her.
Mm-hmm.
But now her spicy tolerance is high because she's been eating a lot of spicy food.
Okay. I mean, I guess this can change gradually. And I guess for people with high spicy tolerance, it's even higher when they try something
Maybe.
that's so high. It's like, no, whatever.
Yeah, it's like to them it's sweet.
So this thing reminded me of toxic relationships, because if we are drawn, so we like something that is toxic, like we kind of
You
know.
need some toxic, right? Like, there is no such thing as a 100% non-toxic relationship, right? Because that means every day is just like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like we have to define what that means. What is a toxic relationship and what's a non-toxic relationship, right? Like, the answer is probably somewhere in between. If here on this spectrum is a relationship with zero problems. Hey, do you want to go here? Yes, let's go there. Oh, I love it. Oh, me too. Like, everything, you agree about everything, and everything is just gonna come. There's no, like,
well,
ups and
I
downs
wouldn't
in your.
say that this kind of fulfill a checklist of non-toxic relationships. It's more of how you treat each other, how you deal with conflicts, how you solve conflicts. Can you share how you feel about something in different ways? So can you think before you act?
I know,
um,
but if I just feel like a relationship where it's like, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship where, like, okay, every day is like, okay, let's talk about this, son. Okay, how did that make? I don't want to live in a relationship where every single day I'm having this therapy conversation with each other on checking in and checking in and checking in. And, oh, how did that
yeah,
make you feel? Well, like, that's not a good relationship either, in my opinion. I think it's good to have some mysteries where I don't know how this person feels and this person doesn't. Like, I think a little bit of that is good. Do you understand what I mean?
yeah. I okay. So
I think a little bit of tension and a little bit of drama is good in a relationship.
okay. So, but this is not my question. My question is, can we connect this metaphor to like relationships? Because when we think about toxic relationships, it has some residual when that you.
Yeah, I think we can. Like, toxic relationship is like spicy food, right? Like, you you want a little bit of kick, and you want a little bit of spicy, but you don't want your everything. You don't want your entire diet to be all spicy, right? That's too much toxic, right? But if it's
Yeah,
like no toxic, meaning it's like 100% drama free, then that's too bland. Then that's like just eating dry chicken every day.
yeah, yeah.
So we did a little bit of hot sauce, but
So
you know,
s- so if you have high spicy tolerance in terms of relationship, it means that
yeah.
it would be
Then
fine
you need
for
more
you,
toxic. Your next relationship has to be even more toxic.
to humiliate each other, or to say to each other, oh, you're so fat, or
But is
you're
that true though?
ugly.
Like, for example, if I've been in a very toxic relationship for, like, level 7 toxic relationship for, let's say, 10 years, right?
Okay.
And then I get out of that relationship, and now I'm in a completely non-toxic relationship.
That would be boring. That would be boring as hell.
But then for somebody who had level 1, and
Hmm.
then for that person it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is, um, if you have high spicy tolerance, so you will be fine with humiliating each other, with I don't know, even having physical fights. But if you have like a low spicy tolerance, it would mean that yes, you will have a fight, but it's not like one day you have fight and then you just pretend like it didn't happen and do whatever, or do like silent treatment. No, you will kind of see, is this a problem or not? Is this like just a random, I don't know, random situation? You were just irritated because of a few different things and it just happened, or it
Yeah, I
is
guess it's like
severe.
it's hard because we have to define what toxic means, because toxic can mean so many different things.
So you don't think that we could make some post about this, if it is possible? I mean, I don't know what's the point of the post,
I guess
but
depending on like how we have to define toxic first. But like some on some level, yes, toxic, yes. But I mean, when I think of toxic, I'm thinking about conflicts,
yeah.
like, and the more you think that's true, like if somebody is in a level 7 toxic relationship
Hmm.
and they go into another relationship that's less toxic, you think that person is not going to be it's not going to be good for them?
I think that
It's going to be too boring for them.
if a person is attracted to another person, that, let's say, if we are really attracted to people that with whom we have toxic relationship, which means, so the way they hurt us, we, the only thing, if we feel, if we want, ah, pain that we feel inside that relationship is something we need to actually feel that we are in love. So if this is something that we have when we are in this in relationship with this person, it means that something less toxic will kind of not tackle this emotion that we are in love, because we don't feel pain.
So what do they have to do? Go into
So
another toxic relationship?
so the thing is, yeah, yeah, there, so it depends how aware they are of what is happening. So if we imagine that they are aware, they've been to therapy and they're aware that they are attracted to, I don't know, like bad guys um that are looking like they bossy or whatever, alpha males. So now they're aware of how they are wired, and they kind of a little bit force themselves to maybe watch their, I don't know, their acquaintances or friends that they don't pay attention to, and experiment to see if they can feel something. So probably with some of them they would feel boredom. I think that there are two ways. One ways is slowly to actually kind of see different aspects, and really to make connection with somebody that make you feel good. This is one thing. And the other thing is just to like not engage in relationship at all with toxic people, because this is the only thing you can do. and maybe you will slowly detoxify, let's say it like that, because you are, imagine you eat so spicy food and you don't eat that for quite some time. Your senses would again back to
I think that
steps.
most I think that most toxic relationships are not with alpha males. I think most toxic relationships are actually with beta males.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
mean,
would you
true.
agree with that? Because I think that's where
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
narcissists are.
Yeah, 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 yeah. True. Because with alpha males, um, they might cheat on you, but maybe they're not that much like they're not family guys, so you cannot keep them,
Yeah, they're not
but they
gonna
will
try
just go.
to. Yeah, they're not gonna try to like suffocate you and like make you
Yeah.
like stay in the relationship.
Yeah, I imagined when I watched Usain Bolt yesterday, I was thinking about him as an alpha male because he likes to party a lot. I don't know if he has a family or not, but he looks like a guy that can be with a lot of girls, and he's just
But I don't think those guys create toxic relationships though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He just goes for another
He just
girl.
doesn't go into relationships at all.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
True,
The
true,
toxic
true, true.
relationships are usually the the narcissistic beta males.
So Usain Bolt's good friend.
I
I
like
was
what's so
joking.
funny
I
is
was joking.
the this whole like movement, this incel movement of like, you know, like the top 10% of men like pretty much gets all the girls. And most guys just barely have a chance. And that's why like a lot of young men nowadays and women like are not dating, and they're kind of there's so many like the whole incel movement is growing. I think that's actually caused by, I mean, I guess it's both party to blame, but I think it's actually accidentally caused by women. I think a lot of what women do is this: they subconsciously, without knowing, they test males, right? They try to see if like this male will just agree with me and just go along with everything that like is how agreeable they are, right? And then
Hmm.
they subconsciously understand that the beta males that are the ones that are going to agree with them on everything. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Oh, you're right. You're right about yeah. Like whereas in it's usually the alpha males are going to be the ones that are like, no, I don't agree with you on that, and they're they're going to actually speak their mind
Hmm.
versus the guys that they're not interested in are the ones just that are giving into. They're like, oh, like that's why like girls don't like it when guys constantly ask them like, are you okay, are you okay, are you okay, like it's like, leave me the fuck alone, like just,
Yeah.
it's like they don't want a guy to constantly be kissing their ass, right? Which is what beta
True.
males do, and this is how they differentiate the beta from the alphas. This is how females differentiate the pack. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And they're attracted to one and not the other.
True.
Do you understand what I mean? So what happened is through this through this test, right? This is how most guys get friend zoned, right?
Hmm.
Like what happens is then comes along these guys who are just like agreeing with everything and like just trying to make you happy about everything, and they created this like so they created this two group of guys, males, right? One who doesn't care what you think, who will speak their mind, and then another one who agrees with everything you say
Hmm.
because they're trying to, and then they get friend zone, and that then women are not
Yeah.
interested. So what ends up happening is now it starts creating this class of feminist male feminists who are going around like agreeing with everything
Mhm.
that woman says,
Yeah.
and then women are not interested in them, obviously, because they're like, ah, you wuss.
Yeah. You have, yeah, I guess you have this kind of pathetic group, like, um but
But I
I
think that
think
group was created by mainly by females
because they
because
wanted,
they put them on the friend zone. I guess it's like, and then I guess it plays on both sides, right? Because the males play into that. They're like, oh,
you know
I
what I
should say
think?
what she want. I should, oh, girl power. Oh, I should say what she wants me to say. Yes, girl power. Like,
Yeah.
when no girl wants to date a guy who's going around saying girl power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I don't think
I
even
don't know if,
feminists want to date male feminists.
I mean, so one thing before I just say another thing. So I think what's more dangerous from beta males is beta males that are mimicking alpha males. So guys that don't think that they are attractive, so deep down they want to be more attractive but they are not, so they mimic like they are full of confidence, and they are not agreeable, so they are maybe even more judgmental.
So are they the ones that are in the toxic relationship?
Yes, because part of them feel like they don't maybe deserve this girl or something like that,
Yeah. So
but
I mean, if that's how you define toxic, then
the only way they can be in a relationship is if they try to control other person, so you have like power disbalance with money, with um psychological, I don't know,
so for that
manipulation.
person, what do they have to do? They have to
For
date a non-toxic person who's not going to
um
try to control you and then be happy there.
well, first of all, many times, the problem is because if that woman
I
didn't
think there's
have,
a difference between somebody being attracted to like an alpha male who versus, you know, because we're talking about two different things. Because you can't change who you're attracted to, right? You're attracted to who you're attracted to. That's it's not like you can't tell somebody to be like, no, stop being attracted to these guys and just be attracted to these guys.
yeah,
Like,
but
it's not up to them.
you can be attracted to cocaine, to coke. So does that mean that you should have that every day, or um, be
No,
something?
no, yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. But I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is this. Even the ones that are not in a toxic relationship might still be attracted to some alpha male
Okay,
who's not good for them
okay,
as far as the relationship goes, right? Because that person is not interested in being in a
okay,
relationship, right? So obviously you don't want to go there. But then within these other group of males, there's like the toxic ones, and then
hmm,
there's the non-toxic ones, right?
okay.
So if you're in a relationship with the toxic one, obviously, then you have to go to the non-toxic one.
Hmm. So abstinence from the toxic one is like if you're an addict, so abstinence from alcohol, even if you like it, even if you're attracted to, abstinence is number one.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I don't know what the answer is there, to be honest. Because like I think the answer is not like just go after who you're attracted to either.
Yeah, many times girls don't give opportunity to non-toxic guys if they are attracted to toxic ones. They
So
wish.
what would your advice be? To give a chance to the boring guy?
Yes.
Yeah, so then the spicy analogy makes perfect sense. Like if you're too used to eating spicy food all the time, then you're gonna always, like the and then if you just eat chicken and broccoli, it's gonna taste boring to you.
Yeah.
Right? Without the spicy. But that's what you need,
Mm-hmm. And
is what you're
maybe,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe if you explore these flavors, you will find something that might feel nice.
Good luck with that message. Because I think everybody thinks of it like this, right? Like I need to find my perfect mate. And that's kind of the problem with selfish dating, right? When you go on Tinder and you're trying to find the perfect guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The truth is there's no perfect guy. Like you have to settle. Everyone has to settle.
Mm.
But I think what
Well,
you're saying is
settling
right. Like
is. Mhm. Please.
like if you've been in a toxic relationship after another one, like your tolerance for toxic might be too high, just like your tolerance for spicy is too high, so you need to always eat spicy food.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just detox from spicy food for a while, then you know you might actually enjoy some of this boring food.
Mm. And a little bit of spicy.
I mean, I think it's a good analogy, but I don't know if it's the right analogy to make people go, "Oh, it's gonna actually change people," right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if somebody's like always in a toxic relationship and you compare it to like a really spicy food,
Yeah, so maybe I should.
it's actually the better analogy would be like a drug, right? Because the more you do a drug, like you become more tolerant to it, then you need more drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a toxic relationship is. It's like a drug. You're addicted to toxic relationships. So you need to detox yourself from the toxic relationships for a while.
Okay, I like this analogy with spicy food, so no.
Okay.
Mm, okay. Thank you for today.
You're
So,
welcome. Thank you. I will talk to you again next week.
okay.
Okay, everyone. Bye, everyone. See you next week. Bye, Jelena.
Bye.